You went from getting pregnant at 13, marrying and getting divorced, being a waitress in a strip club, like all the things that probably aren't super cool, being the daughter of, a pastor.
Your life is not random. You are not here by accident. When you arrive on whatever scene it is, heaven touches earth. Your goodness, your light, your creativity is heaven touching earth.
What do you think is one of the most important habits that would lead to a big shift?
Asking yourself, how are you? Nothing can be healed until we admit that we're broken.
Woo. Amen. I mean, I'm a guy, but I still got the chills to go back and use that when I need it. That's fantastic. Wow. And there she is.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, Believe Nation, I want to introduce you to the one and only Sarah Jakes Roberts. She is an entrepreneur. She's a pastor. She is the author of a new book. I got it right here. Women Evolve. This is launch day for her. I'm so excited. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited. Today is like already through the roof. So I know this is just going to take it to another level.
Yeah. Talk me through that. How excited are you? I know things are just crazy on launch day, but what's it been like for you so far today?
So far, it's been great. I got up at 3:30 to do some press in New York. So I'm like running off of pure adrenaline. It feels like 3 p.m. right now. But it's been great. So many people are actually getting the book. And so we've been talking about it for a long time. So for people to have it in their hands and to be ingesting the information, it's beautiful.
I love it. If you have not picked it up, Women Evolved, for the YouTube audience, we'll link it up in the description below. Go get it. Go get your copy. What I love about your journey and what you've poured into the book is you have been the woman evolved, right? You went from being, the daughter of Bishop T.D. Jakes and all these expectations, I guess, of what, a daughter of a pastor would do, but getting pregnant at 13, marrying and getting divorced, being a waitress in a strip club, like all the things that probably aren't super cool, being the daughter of, a pastor. But then to go from that to this, to being the pastor, to having, your books, it's been your own evolution, which has been amazing to watch. How do you let go? And I think this is where people struggle. How do you let go of that old story? How do you let go of, I don't want to be this person anymore because I need to evolve into something else?
You know what, Evan? That's exactly what people say to themselves is, I don't want to be this person anymore. That's what I said to myself at 13. That's what I said at 14 when I had my son. I said, I don't want to be this person anymore. And the truth is, nothing changed from my life until I embraced that person, because that's a part of who I am. And until I take the time to embrace that person, to figure out where their insecurities are, to figure out where their weaknesses are, then I'm running from my own weaknesses. And basically, I'm going to run into a situation that I'm not prepared to handle because I haven't dissected my past. And so it wasn't until I stopped running from that person and instead decided to embrace her, whoever she was, however messed up she was, however much therapy she needed, did I really begin to see my life change.
And so for somebody who is watching this or is, picking up the book and is kind of tired of their life the way it is and tired of being told what to do and put inside a box, what are the first steps to breaking through the fear, to creating the life that you want? What would you tell her?
I think it starts with perspective on who you are. A lot of times, because we are so inundated with other people's experiences, we can begin to believe that our lives are random, that it doesn't really matter. And I believe that every life was created with intention. Our job is to show up with that reality to our identity in everything that we do. And so I think it starts with realizing your life is not random. You are not here by accident. When you arrive on whatever scene it is, heaven touches earth. Your goodness, your light, your creativity is heaven touching earth. If we can embrace that mentality, when we walk into a relationship, when we walk into a business opportunity, then our goal is to be a gift to whatever we are doing and to not need our brokenness, our insecurities, our instability makes us need something. I need someone to validate me. I need someone to say that I'm okay. We have to flip the script on that by first saying, I am here to be a giver. I am here to flow in my unique offerings, my unique gift, my unique anointing. And that perspective changes the way we show up in the world. The book really outlines how we do that, right? How we unwind our minds so that we can show up in that space. But it's really important that we do it.
She's preaching. Can't help it. I love it. So, I mean, the main theme of the book, without getting into all the details, because you guys got to go pick up a copy, is around the story of Eve. And you know, the great line you said was, Eve knew better, but she didn't do better.
She didn't do better.
She knew better, but she didn't do better. And I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to. We know we should be doing this thing over here, and yet we keep running into these old patterns and letting ourselves down and letting the people around us down. How do we break out? And when we know better, to actually, how do we get the courage to actually go and do better?
Okay, so what happened to Eve, she explains it in this story. We just are so like, and I have to tell you, I was one of those people that said, okay, I don't know how many people are out there who actually say this, but I was a person who said, when I get to heaven, I am going to have an argument with Eve. Like, we are going to have to talk about how she messed it up for all of humanity. Like, I'm out here struggling too. You can do your one job. But I decided that I couldn't be an empowerer of women and want to fight Eve when I got to heaven. So I had to do some work. I had to do some inner work to fix my soul. And when I started studying her life and studying what took place in that story, I saw that she said that the serpent deceived me and then I ate. That word deceived is like a slow seduction of the mind. And part of the reason why we're not able to break toxic patterns, why we know better but don't do better, is that there is a fracture in our mind, a fracture in our thinking, which makes us think that we know better, but we don't actually know better. We just think we should. It's like when you think you should start a diet, you eat French fries and work out. But when you know you should do better, it changes the way you show up. My goal in Woman Evolve is to help you identify that fracture, that change the way that you eat, that change the way that you show up in the world. And if we can find that fracture, then we can heal it. We can create boundaries so that you don't have to continue that pattern. But most importantly, you can begin to revolutionize your life.
People asking what the name of the book is. It's called Woman. There it is. Woman Evolve.
Yeah.
And again, for the YouTube audience, we'll link it up in the description below. You can one click, go pick it up. You had this great line that you said, and I wrote it down. I wrote it down here because it was so like, man, it gave me chills. So I want to read it and get your deeper perspective. So you said, when we become comfortable in a lesser version of who we are, it's because we're afraid that we can't meet the expectations of who we think we could become. Whew, I'm getting chills again, just reading that back. Take us deeper and explain, you know, for the audience, what you mean by that.
You know, it's not that we don't necessarily want to do better or that we don't want more out of life. More is just exhausting. Our present is so taxing on us that we feel like to even stretch more, to want more, to heal from this heartbreak, to want to start a new life. Like this life where I am right now has cost me so much that I don't even believe that I can stretch beyond it. And when we don't believe that we can meet the expectation and that we stay in the comfort of restriction. And yet the reality is that next level vision that God has for your life, that healing is going to allow for you to have creativity and energy and breakthrough that you could have never had if you stayed in this level. And I think it's important for people to know that you don't have to take your same energy and your same creativity to the new level. That new level has new creativity. It has new insight, new innovation, new strategy. All of the new that is required to build that manifestation is connected to the next. We just have to be brave enough to move in that direction.
How important is community in all of this? Because I see, I mean, you're on Instagram and you're sharing your community and giving so much love to the people who have, you know, picked up a copy of the book. Like, how important is it to have a community to help you on this journey?
Oh my goodness, you've got to be around like-minded people. Woman Evolve is a book now, but it really is A community, right? So Woman Evolve started with this revelation I had about Eve. If you say evolve slowly, you pick up Eve's name. And I wanted to connect with other women who felt like that. Like, I know better. I don't always do better, but I believe better. How do I connect the dots? And community is the place where we get to say, this is where I was wounded. This is how I healed. It's a place where someone who is fresh can come in and we can help to move them forward as well. And Woman Evolve is very much so, like, I tell the people who follow Woman Evolve, like, I'm honored to be a part of this community. I'm so glad to be a part of this sisterhood because they make me better. They make me stretch. They make me step into this moment. They make me own everything that's happening in my life. And I know that I'm better because of the delegation. That's what I call the Woman Evolve community, the delegation.
I love it. And it really seems like it's not even so much about you. It's about the movement.
Yeah.
There's another word that you're trying to create to help women step out and step up in their lives.
If it's about me, I messed up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to build something that points people back to me. I want to hold a mirror that helps people to see themselves the way that God sees them. And so I have no desire for it to be just about me. Of course, like, I'm the vessel that God uses to, like, create the vision and to write the books. But at the end of the day, I feel like I have a responsibility to make sure that I don't take in the light, but that I shine the light into dark spaces and onto people who need it the most. Community is it's necessary. It's not about me.
I love that. So what would you tell people who they read it and they love it and they feel like it's time for me to step up and change and I don't want to be this person anymore, and then they tell their friends or their maybe their husband or some of their best friends from high school, and they're like, you can't, what? Come on, you can't do that. Who do you think you are to go and do that thing? And then she kind of talks herself down from doing the thing. What would you recommend for that person?
I would tell that woman that she's got to believe it for herself first. A lot of times we make an announcement about our transformation because we want other people to validate it. I want you to co-sign on my evolution. Your evolution does not need a co-sign. It has been endorsed and stamped from heaven. So all you have to do is walk this thing out. And in walking it out, be patient with yourself. You've been in a toxic pattern or an insecure pattern for a long time. This is working a new muscle. We're working your faith muscle. We're working your confidence muscle. So let's practice this thing. Let's change one thing at a time. And then when we've mastered that thing, let's move to the next thing. And I feel like that's exactly what we have to know. The revolution is closer than we think, but we've got to practice. We've got to have a war strategy, and we've got to be patient with the process.
I love it. Somebody clip that. That's fire. That's great. Talk about in the titling and the thinking, it's evolution, not revolution, which means that it's not like we're not going all in crazy mode, but hey, this is a slow shift of our habits, behaviors that patience is kind of required to make an evolution happen. Why evolution instead of revolution?
You know, I believe that the evolution births the revolution, right? So I thought about calling it revolution, but I do think that revolution already in its connotation makes you think it happens very rapidly. And yet when I look back over my life, I see that it was really small things along the way that led to my revolution. And I take comfort in that. When I think that I have to, like, whenever, Evan, after I finish this book stuff, like, I'm going to have to do something about the French fries I've been eating to cope with the stress of this season. And like most of the time I decide, like, I'm going to go from cheeseburgers to vegan the very next day. And then I fail and end up back on cheeseburgers because I tried to revolutionize without having the process of evolving where I am. And so I think it's important that we are willing to take the time and be patient with ourselves. And then we look up one day. It's like a suddenly kind of thing. Suddenly I look up and I'm not that girl anymore. Suddenly I have confidence. It felt suddenly, but I was doing the work along the way. And all the work I did, I put in the book because I wanted women to step into a suddenly moment.
I love it. What do you think is one of the most important habits that is simple to do, that women can do every day, that would lead to a big shift, even though it doesn't feel like it's that big a habit daily?
Asking yourself, how are you? Asking yourself, how are you? And responding with truth. I write this in the book, but sometimes we are so busy creating a picture of our life that we don't make space for where we fit in the picture. Remember when we used to go to those old portrait studios and the photographer would have you over there and fix your bow tie and fix a little plaid that you had on, and then he gets behind the camera to take the picture. That's how we live our lives. We're creating this life that we want to get behind the camera of and take a picture of. And yet, how are you brings you into this picture. Because if I know how I'm doing, I can make decisions based on that. I mean, to be able to say I'm hurting, I'm broken, I feel fragile today, I don't feel as strong as I should. And I think to be aware of where you are from day to day helps you build a life that is a reflection of your truth and not just the picture you're trying to take so that other people can marvel at how well you're doing.
So if somebody asks themselves right now, the woman watching this says, hey, how am I? I'm actually usually we give a BS answer to somebody else, right? Like,
yeah,
oh yeah, things
sure.
are good, right? Of course. Or Instagram where it's like, things are great. Look at my beautiful life. Meanwhile, you're crying in your room. So if a woman watching this says, I'm broken, that's her answer. What does she do next?
Yeah. First of all, I would say to come to that place of realization is powerful because nothing can be healed until we admit that we're broken. And then I think we have to ask ourselves, she would have to ask herself, what would it take for me to be healed? What does that healed version of myself look like? And what do I need to do in order to get there? What do I need to cut off that has become poison, that infects me further, and I'm already open and wounded? What therapy do I need? What services do I need to get plugged into? What prayers, what meditation, what books do I need to be reading to really begin to create a strategy for healing? A doctor doesn't just say, oh, you're broken and sends you home. It gives you a prescription to help you get there. And I believe as a person in faith, as a believer, that there is a prescription for your healing. I don't care how broken you are. I don't care how many years you've been broken, how many years you've been down and out. There is a prescription for your healing. Our mission on earth, my purpose, is to make sure that every woman who is connected to the prescription I have receives it. And there are other people who believe that, and you got to get plugged into those people.
If we were to give women that prescription and do a prayer, and imagine a woman who has just told herself that she's broken and she needs a prayer, and she's going to fast forward to this point on this YouTube video as a reminder that whenever she feels broken, that she's not alone and that there is hope and that she can get through it. Can we do a quick prayer for her?
I would love that. I would love that. God, I thank you for the woman who stumbled across this video. Her heart is tender, it's fragile, and yet in this moment, you're offering her hope. May she come into awareness of the knowledge that you see her healed, that you see her whole, you see her powerful. Father, my prayer is that your presence that carries peace, that carries wholeness would meet her right now, and that she would fall so in love with that presence that she creates space in her world to experience it all the time. Father, I know that you're going to take everything that has ever happened in her, just like you did for me, and you're going to show her that you can use it all to create a masterpiece. And so may she surrender to this truth, but may she not stay there. May she be resurrected anew, no longer wounded, no longer hurting, but rather a beacon of glory for other women to be inspired by. Amen.
Whew. Amen. I mean, I'm a guy, but I still got the chills. I have to go back and use that when I need it. That's fantastic. Wow. That's great. So, I mean, thank you for that. And I think that could be powerful. And listen, if you're struggling, go back and listen to that part again, or clip it and make that your ringtone. I mean, if you need that, it exists. You don't have to suffer alone. The book again, Women Evolve, we'll link it up down the description below. This is launch day for Sarah. We're so excited. You said that you're shy.
Yeah.
And I think people would find that to be very strange, not believable. Like, who is this woman? She says she's shy. How do you be shy? I think this is part of the evolution too. Like, how can you be shy and do what you do? Because a lot of women who tell themselves that I'm too shy or I'm too introverted, I could never do that. So how did you get over that to do what you do?
You know, I found the thing that was worth me shedding what kept me bound in order to step into it. I wish I could say that better. That's something I say when I'm preaching, but I found the thing that was bigger than me, that was bigger than how I felt, that was bigger than me being shy and introverted. And the space between my shyness and my confidence is the belief in what I have to say. And the belief in restoration, the belief in redemption that I have because of my own journey and my own walk allows me to stretch outside of how I feel about something. That's a lot of times our feelings keep us stuck, and our feelings are worthy of acknowledging, but we have to determine, am I going to allow my feelings to drive my destiny? And so if I allowed that to happen, I wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't be able to share my story with so many people. And so when I found the thing that was bigger than me, I allowed it to be bigger than me.
And in doing that is because you connected to service that this is going to help other people?
Without a doubt. The only time I go on live, the only time I post, the only time I do anything is when I feel like I have something to say that will help other people. I don't talk for the sake of talking. That's not my personality. That's not what I do, but when I do connect, I like to make it meaningful.
And how do you advise women to tap into what their higher level of service would be, of how their message might help other people? How do we find it?
I think that purpose has become such a nebulous term, right? And no one knows what it is or how we find it. Is it going to come smack me in the face? Do I need to go do something to go discover it? For me, and what I write about in the book is that purpose is living with the consciousness, one, that my life is not random, but that everywhere I go, I have an opportunity to add value. And if we see our life as a tool that adds value, no matter where I am, whether my name is in lights or I'm working at the nonprofit on the corner, my life is a tool. That purpose and that sense of service shows up in everything that we do. So I would tell women to not be so caught up with this idea of what is my big thing, but instead, what is my small thing? How do I bring purpose to this job, bring purpose to raising this child? And our life has a sense of identity, of fulfillment and value when we're able to show up in that way.
I mean, you could always help somebody today in even a small way.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some, for somebody who might feel like purpose is too big and I can't bring value, what are some easy ways to just give love to somebody? What would you say?
Oh my goodness, be kind in these social media streets. People are out here cutting up. We need more kindness on social media. We need more kindness to our cashiers. I mean, I set up a little station for my Amazon drivers because they come to my house at this point where they might as well move in. But I put out a little snack station with drinks and fruit. And whenever like Postmates come by, they say, thank you for thinking of us. There are small ways that we can make a big difference in the lives of people. There are organizations that need help supporting the causes that they're undergirding in the community. Look for ways to have service and you'll find them. There's always something that needs to be done.
And saying thank you or giving love is free.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love it. You talked about poison before. What do you think are the biggest poisons that people have in their lives that prevent them from building that life they want?
Comparison. Because we're building by what we see our neighbor's house look like. And so when we see our foundation is off, we take our whole foundation and throw it away. When our master bedroom is not big enough, we throw the whole master bedroom away. And we're building our lives based off of what we see in someone else's life and judging our work based off of what we see. And social media obviously magnifies that in many ways. And so I think comparison is one of the most dangerous poisons that we drink from each day. And I think that now this is the hard work that people don't like to do. But when we recognize that I've seen something that makes me feel badly about myself or poorly about where I am, we have to identify that lie. We have to identify that thought. And then we have to speak truth over that. That's that renewing of the mind. And in the process of doing that, we're able to actually celebrate people instead of seeing it as it being a reflection of where we are not.
What would you tell somebody who might right now be comparing themselves to you?
Oh, goodness. Girl, if you're going to compare yourself to me, you got to compare yourself to the full story. We got to start at 13 when you was rubbing your belly. We got to start with the church mothers telling you to get up and apologize. We got to compare the whole story. And even when you do that, you have to recognize that as long as you're comparing yourself to my story, then no one is maximizing your life. I want to see your testimony. I want to see how you come out on the other side. You didn't have a teen pregnancy, but you had something that bruised your heel. And I want to see how you take that same heel and use it to crush something that's happening in your world.
I love it. One last question. Talk about it here. It says right on the cover. So guys, again, Women Evolve. We'll link it up in the description below. Right under here, it says, break up with your fears. what do you recommend for people to break up with their biggest fear?
Oh, goodness. Everyone has a different fear, but I think the best way to break up with your fears is like to make fear your audience, to decide that I'm not going to allow fear to control me anymore. And fear keeps so many of us bound. And the best way to do that is to rebel. That's why that revolution word becomes powerful, is because I'm going to rebel against my fears. Start writing down what your fears tell you. What do your fears tell you about who you aren't or who you are? Let's write them down and let's start rebelling against them. I'm shy. My fear tells me I'm shy. I can't speak publicly. I fumble over my words. The words don't always flow well. And yet here I am on Instagram Live, fumbling and mumbling and hitting some gold every now and then because I have decided I will not be bound by my fears.
Well, there definitely is a lot of gold in this interview and not that many fumbles and bumblings. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the book is called Women Evolve. Again, we'll link that up in the description. Go pick up your copy. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. Congrats on the launch day. I'm super excited to see this thing take over because you're infecting the world with positivity, and appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for this time.
Much love, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.